Good morning and welcome to Tarot Time and welcome to the Medium channel where we bring you the spirituality behind the message. So whether you're watching this live or as a video, thank you for being here. And on Sunday mornings, what we do is we do a weekly forecast using tarot cards and angel cards and Native American cards and talk a little bit about the tarot, current events a little bit. And, I I don't know what's been going on lately with current events, um, but the idea, and I just want to kind of make this clear before we get into this. The idea here is to really help us with our awakening and help us to navigate the situation here in the world. And the idea is that we really need to be in our own power at this time. Take it all in, know what's going on in the world, understand the current events, but also to understand that there's a lot of deception. There's a lot of false flags. There's a lot of stuff going on that's very distracting, and we really need to stay into our own heart, stay in our own power, and that's really the underlying message. So the work that we're doing here is really more about the solution than dissecting the problem, if that makes sense. And the solution is us. It's us staying in our power. It's understanding that there's certain things that are going on in the world that are distracting, they're disempowering. There's a war on consciousness, a war on spirituality, and there's a lot of misinformation, and I'll just kind of leave it at that. Now, on excuse me, on Wednesday evening, I'm going to do the Ascension updates here on the channel, and I'll dive deeper into the Ukraine-Russia crisis and all the ramifications at that time. I'll only talk about it this morning as it comes up in the weekly forecast, because that's obviously a major thing that's going on in the world. But since I'm on that subject, you understand also, since this came up, we're not hearing so much about the freedom fighters or the truckers or what's going on domestically with things with COVID and stuff like that. There was, I believe, an attack. Was it in Syria? Like, we're not really hearing a lot of what's going on. You really had to go to the bottom of your news feed. So there's always a narrative. There's always a reason why things are presented to the public that the way that they are. And frankly, I'm not in Ukraine or Russia. I don't know what's going on. I understand some of the political pieces, as it were. The locations of the different countries, the relationships with NATO, and but again, the idea is that we need to stay in our power. And what I'm finding, it's a big awakening that's happening. There's a lot that's shifting in the collective consciousness. I'm finding that people are, people that are doing the work anyway are having to make changes in their personal lives. A lot of people are starting to, and this is going to be a trend, are going to be ending relationships, ending friendships, leaving jobs, things that are not working anymore as we evolve and we grow and we open up more to spirit and we do our work. There's things in our own personal lives that just aren't okay anymore. And they were okay, and be grateful for what we've learned and grown through the process. But we have to be okay with change, and we have to understand that as long as we stay in our heart and we stay in spirit and we work with spirit, it's like there really is no change. It's all the changes on the outside. As long as we're in the present moment, well, it's not fixed, it's fluid, but it never changes. Like, no matter what time it is, it's always now. So it's really what's going on around us that's changing. It's what's going on in the physical world and our physical bodies and our physical lives that are changing. But spirit is always the same. And the mechanics of the programming And what the governments or the forces that run the governments are trying to do is to get us off our game, is to get us into fear, panic mode where we're more controllable, to separate us from spirit, and to so-called unify society. So while these attacks were going on, there's also things going on with the WHO and the attempt to centralize pandemic control, or in other words, when there's a future pandemic, and there will be, I think around 20, somewhere between 2025 and 2030, I do believe there's going to be another one. The idea is that the governments will no longer have the sovereignty to deal with the pandemics, future pandemics in their own way. It's going to be all centralized. And that's where we're moving toward with all that's going on. There's a centralization of government where there's more control. So everything that's happening is really about control. And if you look at the patterns, it's all about control and it's all about distraction. So that's the outside. That's part of the awakening. That's part of the process of our evolution. What we need to do is be strong in spirit and to stay locked in spirit. And that never changes. And no matter what happens, that you're always safe, that whatever happens on the outside, we're immortal beings having temporary human experiences. And the more people that really understand that, the less people are going to go into fear and panic and anger. And again, I need to be honest, do a little bit more research on the political science, around what's going on in Eastern Europe. But I'm going to talk a lot more about that on Wednesday. So that's going to be March the 2nd. Then March the 3rd, we're going to do another heart expansion, heart coherence, guided meditation and channeling and activation. And collectively, we're going to help to bring more love and more compassion where it's needed, which is the collective and the governments and those that are supposedly in power and control. So, anyways, I just wanted to check what you guys are saying for a second, because you always have really good things to say. Yeah, thanks for helping us. Yeah, thanks, Michael, for bringing that up. And I've heard everything from Putin's the devil to that he's working as a freedom fighter. And we have to understand with conspiracies, conspiracy theories. Yeah, like there. I'll put it this way: that there's predictions that certain people have made that didn't come true. um, things about our 45th president, just to give you an idea of where I'm going with this. But the point being is that if there's a political agenda, or if there's any agenda to control people's thinking, they're probably smoke screens. There are real conspiracies. There's really some bad stuff that's going on in the world. Absolutely true. But we have to be careful where we get our information from, who we believe, and stuff like that. And because a lot of it, again, it's distractions, and anything that's going to invoke fear, that's going to try to um, propagate a mindset and to try to control people's thinking, their feelings, and their actions is probably not the best source of information. And the base information may be accurate, but the motivation is questionable. And we really need to stay out of that energy and really start to go within and really focus on our own awakening. That's what's going to win this war. Not the war in the Ukraine, but the war on consciousness, the war on spirituality. We're going to win by not buying into the fear, by going back into our hearts and back into spirit. And yeah, scary things are happening. People are dying. People are being displaced. And it's very easy to get caught up into that thinking. But the main thing is that there's a bigger picture, that we're in a temporary human experience. No matter what happens here, we're going to be okay. We're immortal. We're all powerful. And that's the thing we really need to stay mindful of, to stay focused on, because with everything going on, it's way too easy for us to get off track, to get out of our power, and then to be subject to being, becoming ill, or to becoming less effective, and everything. So again, what I'm finding is a lot of people are having to break ties with different people. It's just part of the process. The thing is, no, don't go into duality, don't go into division, go into the unity of the heart and the unity of the collective. So lots of discernment is needed. Yes, Susan. Unfortunately, being for thank you, Pauline. I agree, Michael. Yeah, precisely, Susan. Yes, yes. Everything you guys are saying is making sense to me. Huge in America's chart. So Sharita knows all the aspects. So let's get into some tarot stuff. And so we have a new moon coming up. We're coming to the month of March. It's a universal 9 month. So there's a completion of a cycle. People that saw my 2022 forecast, which is most of you, know that I may not have mentioned Ukraine or Russia. You go back to January, and I went through the months quickly, but I had to review myself to see what I picked up on, what I didn't pick up on, and everything. And January, what I said, especially later in the month, what was negotiations breaking down, or peace negotiations breaking down. And then February, I was seeing militaries being put on standby or mobilized, especially in Europe. So this is what I was picking up on, without knowing that there's going to be an actual war developing. But like I said, there's so much going on in the world, and there's been wars going on always, and there's been what's going on in Ukraine. There's different places in the world, like in Africa and the Middle East, even in places in South America, where people are living that horror every single day of their lives, that they don't know if their village is going to get bombed, or if troops are going to come and separate their families. Like, this is how people are living. And is this really acceptable? And why? That's the thing. In the 21st century, when we're supposed to be civilized, like, why is this still going on? So anyways, I trust you more than any. Thank you, Michael. Yeah. Um, the thing is, I'm coming from the heart. I want to be informed. That's why I didn't want to dive too deep, unless it comes up in the card. I didn't want to dive too deep into what's going on, because I just don't have the book knowledge of what's going on. I don't have the political science. I have ideas, and I've been starting to look into things, but I just feel like when it comes to like control and manipulations and an agenda from the select few, what do you want to call them, the cabal, deep state, whatever you want to call them, it just checks every single box of of um of a of a planned issue. I'll just put it that way. And again, as I'm saying this, I want to be really sensitive to people. There's a lot of people that have ties with Ukraine. Anything that I'm saying is not diminishing the suffering. It's not diminishing the ramifications of what's going on in that part of the world or anywhere else. It's just awareness of a bigger picture. Why is this happening? And the free the truckers were being heard. There's movements all around the world. There's protests all around the world. The COVID situation is kind of, I wouldn't say waning, but it's taking a backseat. People are starting to be like, oh, maybe we can go back into our life. Maybe we don't have to be in panic all the time. And then boom, then this happens. The timing is very interesting, and the circumstances are very interesting. And what does it do? It brings fear. It brings panic. It pits two sides against each other. It brings division. And like I said, it checks all the boxes for what's been happening since, well, for a long time. But you look at the 2016 elections, and I actually, I'm not going to talk about this, um, there was more to it than like Russian collusion. You know, that there were other countries that were connected with things that were going on the internet and things that were going on with the election. But the thing is, they basically brought in, yeah, and I really don't believe the the president, 2016 as well as 2020 were elected. I believe that they were assigned, and yeah, there is an election, and yeah, there are votes, and you may not agree with me, and that's fine. This is just my personal opinion and my personal take on things, but I don't believe that Trump was elected. I don't believe that Biden was elected. I think that both of those candidates did not necessarily win the popular vote or even win the electoral vote. And you think about 2016, this was a figure, Donald Trump, he's a human being, he is what he is, but what better person to create fear and dissension and to divide or to strengthen that? Then comes a pandemic, then comes another polarizing figure for a completely different reason. It's all the same, and it's all the same agenda. What happens is that people are frightened, people are in panic, people don't know what's going to happen in the world. The governments do have the power to seize our bank accounts, by the way, and that's been happening in Canada, by the way. For those that don't know, that people that have donated to the truckers have had their bank accounts seized. Like, this is stuff that's really going on. This is the control that's happening, and so anyway, I didn't think I was going to get so into this, but I did. So let's go back into tarot now that I probably lost half my viewers. But if for people that want to learn tarot or want to develop a little bit more knowledge with the tarot, and what I recommend is every morning to pull 3 cards. Like, we do 3-card spreads here. That's how I do my weekly forecast here. So pull 3 cards, either write them down or remember them. You can look at them and see in your mind what you believe these cards are trying to tell you about the day. And then in the evening, review your day, review the 3 cards, and then see what they're trying to tell you. And over time, you'll develop your own relationship with the tarot, because the tarot comes from a book of knowledge. It's linked with the scriptures. It's linked with the Kabbalah and other ancient wisdom texts and religious texts and stuff like that. So it is really about wisdom, and there is an energy or a spiritual energy behind tarot. But like any other form of mediumship or channeling or working with spirit, the cards will speak to everybody slightly differently. So I always recommend people learning the tarot, learn the cards, learn what the books are saying about the meanings, but do experiential exercises so that you can develop your own personal relationship with the cards. And that's a way to do it. So 3 cards in the morning, and then see what they're trying to tell you. Then over time, you'll develop your own patterns of communication. I'm going to pull a meditation card, and this you can work with this card this week if you like, if you resonate with it. And Susan's saying we have been programmed against Putin. Yes, we have. I don't believe that he's the enemy, and that's another box that gets checked. There's always an enemy, there's always a threat, and there's always this benevolent government that's going to be the knight in shining armor to save the day. It's all about trying to centralize and to have a and again, it's like there's a division, so they're going to say, well, we can unify this, just follow us and trust us. And you can mark my words if you want, but between 2025 and 2030, you're going to see a lot with artificial intelligence. You're going to see a lot, and you're going to see a lot of a unifying power trying to centralize all the governments and to control the world population, basically. So, so thank you for that. Your comments get me off on a new tangent, but I think it's all relevant. But the thing is, take a deep breath. And, the way that I'm talking, I'm kind of talking a little bit fast and breathing from my chest, and I'm explaining this stuff. And this is part of being present. So I'm going to use myself as an example. I'm talking about all this stuff. I'm getting a little bit anxious. I'm breathing from my chest, not from my diaphragm. So I'm observing this. This is a program. This is how we are being programmed by the governments right now, and we don't even realize it. So what do? We get present and observe this. So now I'm observing the program in action. I'm observing my reactions. It's like, oh, well, my hands aren't sweaty yet, but that's coming next. But I'm observing the program in action. It's an emotional program. And because of that, I'm not the program anymore. I'm the observer of a program. This is what we need to practice. This is why I say this on at least half of my videos and my live streams. Practice presence, practice heart brain coherence, learn to be the observer. And now I'm fine. Now I'm breathing the way I normally do. I'm taking nice deep inhales. I feel more relaxed. My voice just dropped a little bit. You might have noticed. This is what we all need to be doing during this time. So, on that note, by the way, yoga at 5 o'clock. Speaking of calming down, um, so that's going to be with Doreen, the founder of the Children's School of Yoga. So she's going to do more of an intermediate set. We have a basic set also on the Medium channel, and we're gearing this towards Ascension. So we need a practice. We need to take care of our bodies. We need to take care of our minds. We need to take care of our spirits. And yoga checks all of those boxes. And there's other great practices around that also. And other thing, just as an aside for my inner community, we are working on building a new website for my company, Between the Worlds, for Heather Istara's work. She does the healings for us also. And we're running into a few blocks. And if anybody does webs designed using WordPress and WooCommerce, or somebody that's reliable, please let me know. You can either message me on Instagram or Facebook, or I'm not going to see all the comments on the live stream, or you can comment on the video stream, because we have it partially built, and it's been sort of on the back burner for a while. Like we wanted to do this for a couple of years, but because of one thing, because of the pandemic, I actually lost about half my income, and using my techniques, so I'm going to toot my own horn a little bit. After losing all of my live events, which is close to a third to half of my income, 2020 was my second best grossing year of my business ever. 2021's been my first best. So given the circumstances where I lost a lot of income, you working with energy and creating new ways of making income has worked for me. So just to put out there, the stuff I do in Law of Attraction actually does work. So anyway, back to our meditation card. But getting to the point that I and also I was paying part of my son's tuition in college and everything, and 2 employees and a lot of stuff. Point being is that now I've got some money that we can finish this website. So anyways, right, so I'm seeing pulling that same say to you in online. Yeah, and Doreen, I forgot on what thread brought up something, based on her business, and part of this whole centralization movement is squeezing out a lot of the small businesses. So that's all part of it. We can't fear the control. We should be aware of it. Obviously, we can't fear it, and we have to be in our power. That's how we're going to win this war. We stay in our power, we stay in our heart, we stay in our community, and do good in this world, and we do good for ourselves. So this is like the fourth week in a row. I think we've gotten a major arcana card for a meditation card. Being that there's 22 majors and 56 minors. They want us to work with major arcana cards. In tarot, major arcana represents different levels of energy or consciousness, generally speaking, and the minor arcana cards, which are like the number cards and the core card, represent situations in life. Lovers is interesting because it's Gemini. And Mars is going to be in Gemini. What Sharita, like 7 or 8 months this year. Sign of duality. We're talking a lot about duality today, and the divide and everything like that. So in the lovers cards, it's like the two are really becoming one, so to speak. As lovers, and often as a meaning, it's about choices, and sometimes about romance also. But it's really the sign Gemini. And the idea is get relaxed, do your meditation, step into the card, see, or sense. Not everybody's visual, but if you're not visual, you can feel the scenery. You don't have to necessarily see it in your mind, and see what you get. What does spirit tell you as you step into this? This is key 6, right? It's number 6. So it's interesting because 6 is really about Venus. And then, of course, the sign Gemini, which is the rulership, is about Mercury. And these are the two innermost planets. By some miracle, they're neither of them are retrograde right now. In fact, nothing's retrograde right now. And see what messages that you get. But this can teach us about the lessons of duality, that not to say duality is like a negative thing. It's reality. There would be no physical universe if there was no duality. But the idea is, through that, is to understand there is a unifying force. So there's a unifying force, and there's a separatist force also. And through the lovers, through the understanding of the polarity of opposites, we can find balance and unity there. So I'm going to do 3 cards for what's going on in the week, kind of a thing. Last week's 3-card forecast and spread was all too accurate, I must say. Although I think the writing was on the wall before last Sunday, anyways. It's just kind of the cards. Just we're just showing it, which is good. It may give me confidence that the cards that I pick are the right ones. So I even remember, I remember that the 3 of Swords was the outcome, which is the card with the tears and the swords piercing the heart. And certainly, that's unfortunately part of the reality. But the rest of it really show. I mean, it showed very clearly that the negotiations were done, that this was going to happen. So that was last week. This is this week. We're entering a new month. We're entering a new moon, I think, on Tuesday, the Pisces new moon. So Pisces season is officially beginning. Well, sun-wise, it already began, but on that first new moon, it's really starts to come in. And I don't know if Mercury's in Pisces yet or not. I didn't check my ephemeris this morning, but the Mercury's never that far from the sun, so it's always within I think less than 30 degrees of the sun. Anyways, so this was the first one. Okay. I definitely think, because this is really what's in the collective mind right now. I think that a lot of this does speak on Ukraine, and we may be hearing things like, well, they're going to talk and they're going to negotiate, but this is telling me that's pretty much just show anyway. So not to count on that, unfortunately. Though, the Eight of Cups is a little bit more peaceful. Um, I think what one of the things they're trying to show is that, but in between the headlines or whatever, like we're going to see some stories or some things about some really amazing things about human beings, and how when things are at their worst, humans are able to rise to the occasion and be at their best and stuff like that. This is also making me feel like a big war on words, like seeing these cards here for me, big war on words. So you guys, don't get too caught up on social media, and try to stay out of the whole that whole mindset of like trying to dissect the situation. The fact is, we have to accept our ignorance sometimes. We're not in Ukraine. We're not part of the NATO alliance. We don't know what's going on. We only know what we hear, and we can get an idea maybe if we can find, and if you guys know, like Sharita shared a couple of things with me the other day. If you want to post that about places you can go where you can actually get some semblance of truth through the media, that's not supporting the right wing, or not supporting the left wing, or not supporting this or that, but it's really just here to try to present accurate information to people so that people can plan and to be safe during all this stuff. Um, and I'm just seeing what you guys are saying. Oh, it's just saying new comments. I'm missing a lot of new comments. I had it off myself. Social media, everybody should read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Thank you. Not physically there, we know nothing. I'll look that up, Sharita. Okay, thank you. Oh yeah, Venus and Mars are close to it. Yeah, I think they're pretty much conjunct through the whole month, right? And what are they in? Are they in Capricorn, or you know? I usually know this stuff, but I haven't really been looking at my phone. I think they're in Capricorn, but anyways, I if I'm wrong, Sharita will definitely let us all know that Adam's wrong. So and honestly, I'm fine with that. So what else? Yeah, I like the Eight of Cups. Like all the cards are reversed, so you can just assume that everything's going to be a shit show, basically, with the media and everything that's happening. And again, I think what they're saying is we get into this very peaceful Pisces energy. Pisces energy should be peaceful anyway. I mean, it's the subconscious, so it's not always, but in any event, I always think of Pisces as peaceful energy. So really go into that. In the mornings, before you even look at the phone, like do not look at the phone the first thing you get up, because then you get tied right in. You get wired into the whole like control system when you do that, the whole media and all that stuff. Try to stop and meditate a little bit, or just practice gratitude. Sometimes waking up and just saying thank you, Spirit, for another day, because it is a beautiful day to be alive. Thank you, Spirit, for my body, for my food, for my breath. um do a little meditation. I have a whole morning routine. It takes me about 90 minutes, so the time I off my pillow to the time that I have my tea in the morning, it's about 90 minutes. So I do my meditation, I do my prayers, I do my cold showers, I do my uh my supernatural breathing, Joe Dispenza's technique. So I do all that stuff as part of my morning ritual and everything. What else is trying to say? To me, it looks like it's very intense early in the week. There may be a little bit of a backing off of some of the fighting and stuff. I think unfortunately, or yeah, or maybe I shouldn't say unfortunately, because it's what Spirit is giving me. I think a lot of this is focusing on the crisis in the Ukraine and neighboring countries right now. Yeah, and I feel like you're saying we're going to hear of some amazing acts of heroism also through this whole thing. and and this is going to give rise to new leaders also, and it's going to give rise to new movements as well. And I think we're going to hear more about the there I believe in the US the convoy here is planning I think Tuesday to be in Washington, so there may be a demonstration in Washington D.C. also with the with the truckers down there, or whoever they are. They may not be truckers, but so I think we're going to see a lot of these demonstrations, a lot of things coming up, and I feel like there's something where either the president's going to have to kind of retract on his words, or something like that later in the week, or say something where it's not true, or something like that. But a lot of stuff is being suppressed. And there's so let's say reverse Eight of Cups, imprisonment or inability to leave, and reverse Page of Swords, poor communication. I get the poor communications part. I get what you're saying about this also. The thing is the tarot is really trying to give us information of what we need to do to be, to continue on our path of life, and on our spiritual path, and to understand that these things are happening for this. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Faye, for that. Community telling six. Yeah, right. Exactly. Right. So All right. So anything else before I go on? I know we've been talking a while this morning. Anything else? The Eight of Cups. Because the Eight of Cups, in and of itself, is kind of seeking higher ground, so to speak, and kind of leaving something established behind to seek something new. Again, I feel like the whole message here is really double down on your spiritual practice, whatever that is. Something around meditation, yoga, breathing exercises, because there's just so much energy. And I talk a lot about this whole thing being the war on spirituality and the war on consciousness. I'll tell you, when I had my awakening, it was in 1978, and I was not doing anything spiritual. I mean, I was interested in psychics and stuff like that, and I thought at the time I had abilities or whatever, but it just happened, and it's just like my eyes just opened up, and I really got into the spiritual practice, and I really felt like that all these forces in the collective consciousness were trying to prevent me from being spiritual, which was probably a little bit of an egocentric view at the time, but the gist of it is absolutely accurate. And I would see with people just kind of the comments they would make, and just like these little synchronicities, like I go to try to get some quiet and meditate, and then like the neighbor would blast music right at that moment, like all this kind of stuff. And sometimes these are projections, by the way. It's like our own egos trying to block ourselves from being spiritual, and then we create these projections in the environment around us. But it really felt like oppression, like there's this force that's oppressing spirituality, and as time goes on, got stronger and stronger and stronger. And now it just takes a lot for me to just really get into my work and practice. Like I really have to block it all out. And I really have to stay strong and stay grounded and stay firm. And it's good to feel it, but it's not good to be affected by it. So grounding, do a lot of grounding exercises this week, a lot of tree meditations. The white pines blow down in the storms around here. The birches stand because the birches have deep roots. We need to stand. We cannot afford to get blown down by this storm that's getting ready to ramp up again. That's starting to ramp up again. Get grounded. Tree meditations. There's a lot of good grounding meditations. But the problem is, and the big problem with what's going on in the world is that people have lost the connection with the earth. They've lost the connection with energy. Everything has a feeling. When I go out into nature, I feel the energies as I walk through nature. I feel the trees. I feel the rocks. I feel it in my body. I feel it in my psyche. We can all do this, but we've forgotten how to do this. And because of that, we've lost our connection to the earth. We've lost the respect of the earth. I'm not saying you guys, I'm just saying society in general. Like, we've lost that ability, and the earth is pushing back. And in order for us to advance, in order for us to really have this great awakening that we hear so much about, we need to reconnect to the earth. We need to reconnect to nature. Very, very important. We need to reconnect with our breath, because our breath is our life force. And if we breathe properly, we start to draw more chi through us. Chi heals us, chi connects us to nature, because chi is the unifying force that connects the physical with the spiritual. So sort of that plasma layer of energy in between what's physical and what's spiritual, beyond what we're able to perceive. And if we can allow that energy, if we can become aware of it, if we can work with it, we can heal ourselves, we can ascend spiritually, we can create our reality. Because through chi is an expression of the quantum field, the quantum energy. Through chi, we can create our reality with our minds, our intentions, and our will. So this, I believe, is part of the message for this week. So anyway, gonna move on and just see that's what you guys are saying. Control, thank you. Exactly, Sharita, on point as usual. Uh, Exactly, Sharita. Thank you. Just 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Just unplug. Get into your heart. Yeah, this is the decade of heart brain coherence. I've been saying this for a while. Ancient practice. There's nothing new about building compassion and gratitude in the heart. Masters have told us that forever. Now, I think it was 1991. Heart Math Institute. Um, came into being. They a lot of scientific research. To make a long story short, science now proves that. I'm going to leave these cards in case I'm going to reference to them, but science proves it basically. So I want that building the resonance of the heart is an important spiritual practice. That's how we stay strong in our power and everything. But of course, we have videos on that, of course. So, well, it's interesting. I've got my medicine cards. I really want to pull the Native American cards first and see what message they have to augment the original message. Mm. Okay. Okay. Nope. Wrong. I'm thinking too much. I'm in my brain. I'm not in my heart. So I'm shifting now. Although when you're in your heart, you really are in your brain. But okay, I'm not in my spirit. That's what I'm trying to say. Now I am, and I got the right card. Okay, and this is the Maiden of Shields. Shields kind of relate to Pentacles in the regular tarot. The medicine shields are basically the warriors or the people would carry the medicine shield, which would basically be their power, would be their spirits, in that kind of a form. But you got a nice buck with her, and I'll show this to you in a second. And it's like the antlers almost look like the trees. It's like the deer is like part of the trees, and me, she's kind of laying her shield down and being more vulnerable and being more honest. And deers represent gentleness but strength at the same time. I mean, that's a stag. That's a strong animal that she's with. And that's part of her power. Sometimes there's a lot of power in silence and observation. Because to me, this figure is observing. It's watching and observing and being in her power, basically. So it's really a lot about warriorship, and the fact that the true warriorship isn't about war, it's about peace. But understanding the ways of the world sometimes necessitate that we need to you know be, in battle sometimes, and we always are. Sometimes just, checking out food at the grocers is a battle, because there's a subconscious exchange that happens with the people that you see, in your day-to-day life. Sometimes they're positive exchanges, sometimes they're negative exchanges. Sometimes people subconsciously are try to plant their negative energy into you, and it may just be with a glance of the eye, or just a vibration or a feeling. And then for the next hour you wonder why you feel so crappy, and you don't relate it that somebody just dumped their crap on you at a supermarket. But that's really part of what goes on. That and again, that's the programming, that's the division. It's the illusion that we're separate in consciousness. We're obviously separate in body, but I mean, in consciousness, we're individual manifestation of a singular consciousness. So in any event, you be observant when you practice presence, and you take that into the world with you, and you can take things in without reacting, or if you do react, you can just observe and be present with your reaction. That's when you start to see the subtleties of what's going on beneath the cloak of the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. So anyway, that's what I get from that card. So moving right along, now I will do the medicine cards and see what they have to say. This is the one I'm drawn to. Of course, it's a blank. Spirit's doing this on purpose. I mean, I think they're saying, get the blanks out of there. You know what the blank is about? It's like what this is about is, let's everybody just close their eyes for a second. Just take a deep breath. Just clear your mind. Maybe in your mind, just look at the blank, and then place an animal there, and that'll be your totem animal for the week. So we'll make this an exercise. And I saw two, so I'll tell you what I saw. Uh, First was the coyote, which is the cosmic trickster. So when there's coyote medicine afoot, there's tricknology afoot also. But it's not a negative thing. The coyote's here to trick us into learning also. So but then oh God, I don't even remember what the second animal was. There's something about the coyote. Hmm. Well, it wasn't really a medicine card, but I saw a unicorn. He's talking about like airy fairy or whatever. But yeah, I saw a unicorn, and to me, unicorn is magical, mystical. It's like flying, and I used to do this thing with the children. I haven't done children's psychic development for a while, but I'd have them do a remote viewing exercise where they would, find a unicorn and have the unicorn take them to a certain location, and then see what the people were doing. Like I'd have them go to their families on the unicorn, and ask them, so what's your mom doing? What's your dad doing? And stuff like that. So anyway, so we drew a blank. So your medicine card is your own today. um, all right, and tying things together, we'll see what message from the angel that we get. The angels, I mean. Oh, Michael got an eagle. Wolf for Matt. Wolves are teachers. Eagles can be seers. The eagles have really, really good eyesight. The eagle stands at least. I mean, I've studied. Well, I even studied. I familiarized myself with a few different traditions of the Native Americans, and often the eagle stands at the east of the medicine wheel, and is the opener of the door to spiritual illumination. Um, and Susan was a wolf, and Susan's a teacher. We know that also. Um, and an owl, owls are the night eagles. Very good. Hey, we are. I swear to God, I did not plan this, but we are doing yoga with Doreen of Children's School of Yoga. She's on the thread here with us at 5 today here on the channel. And Ray, yoga and exercise are essential to your well-being, peace of mind, and spiritual growth right now. So we've been talking about that, and that's like a big duh. Yeah, of course it is. So we have to take care of our physical vehicles for a couple of different reasons. One, we're under constant stress. our bodies are not equipped to deal with constant stress. Our bodies are equipped to deal with stress as a survival instinct when it's needed to save our lives. But of course, we're not, hunter gatherers anymore, and so stress becomes a social reaction or a reaction to things in the environment. So that's one reason why we need that. And the other one is this is an awakening, and it's almost like all the stuff that's going on in the world is like sludge that's been beneath the surface that has to rise in order to be purged as we go into this awakening of consciousness, because really humans have not changed a whole lot in 200,000 years. There's been rises, there's been falls. Human development has not been linear, it's been circular. So there's been advanced civilizations, then they got buried under natural disasters, and then there's been other advanced civilizations or whatever. Anyway, there was a point to that. But the point being is that this is a period where we have an opportunity to genuinely evolve, not evolve like, say, Atlantis evolved, where they wound up destroying themselves, for what information I'm ever able to gather around that society. It's more like surpassing that so we can truly evolve into our next level. We have dormant DNA. That's one of the reasons we do the transmissions on the channel, to help you awaken that dormant DNA that we all have. And once it's activated, that's when we're going to have peace on earth. That's when everybody's going to be a genius, not just a few people, because we all have access to that. So as there's an awakening, there's the energy shifting, there's higher frequencies affecting the planet now. And scientists that are at least open enough to investigate this are seeing that human cells are changing. They don't know why. There's physical changes that are happening as we are in an awakening cycle, as the vibrations that go through all of us that affect the entire planet are increasing. It puts a lot of stress on our bodies. We have growing pains. Growing pains become ascension symptoms because the body's needing to change. It's almost like going from a more of a, I guess, carbon base or whatever to more like diamond base. So it's becoming more crystalline. It's still carbon, we still have physical bodies, but it's a different configuration thereof. And that's really what's happening. So yoga, breathing, all the stuff, especially with all the stress, with all this pressure to try to divide us, to get us angry, to get us scared, and to get us compliant. We have to keep the body strong. We have to keep our mind strong. We have to keep our heart strong. Yoga and related practice are really good for that. So we're going to see you all at 5 then, right? All right. So on that note, I think we're going to end. And again, just quickly, well, Tuesday night, Heather, Star, and we're going to be on Zoom, and I'll send some notices out if you're on our email list or on our social media. But Tuesday, I believe we're doing this at 7. We always do a new moon thing together, and we did a full moon thing on the channel, but this will be on Zoom. So she does her healing transmission. I do my energy transmission. Wednesday is going to be the Ascension update. So what we do with that is I do my monthly forecast, what I believe is going to be happening. Talk about the current events as they affect us as a community, as an awakening community, and give you what I get from spirits. I do a little bit of automatic writing before that, and then show some maybe some new or maybe the same ascension exercises that we've been doing all along. But I always provide some kind of exercises that we can do, meditation exercises, physical exercise that's appropriate for the energies of the month, because it's all about ascension, it's all about growth, it's all about awakening. Thursday, we have an upload. We're moving the upload time to 3 o'clock because nobody's really watching at 10 in the morning. And in order for our videos to reach more people, people need to watch the videos, early on also. And, maybe I should put this as a call of action to you guys, especially if you get notification. If you're able to, answer the notification, watch the whole video, comment on the video. That actually triggers the YouTube algorithm to share the video with more people. So no, not telling you what to do, but if you happen to be available between 3 and 4 and you like the video anyway, you're going to watch it anyway, and you can do that. That'll help to boost that. So I'm going to be I have a meditation and an affirmation that I'm going to share that's going to be really helpful for people dealing with anxiety and stress. And a lot of people are, and people are having gosh. I'm sorry. Maybe this is part of this war on consciousness trying to block my throat chakra from speaking, or maybe it's my own fears, but whatever. There's certainly a lot of congestion in my throat this morning. But anyway, so we're going to do a guided meditation with an affirmation that will, I can pretty much 99.9% guarantee, if you do this is going to help alleviate anxiety, stress, panic attacks, worry, and stuff like that. So I designed this meditation to kind of hit all those boxes, so to speak, of what's causing people anxiety, and to clear that. So that's going to be my upload 3 o'clock Thursday the 3rd, and then 7 o'clock Thursday the 3rd. I'm going to do a transmission to work with heart coherence, to expand our own heart frequencies for our own health and well-being, but also collectively to work on raising the energy of the collective. And like we did last time, we send this energy to the collective consciousness and to the world. We'll put this in quotation mark, the world leaders, those that need to awaken their souls, because this is what's needed now. We need to interject more compassion, more gratitude, and love into the collective in order to help us ease through this crisis, and to help those that actually have the power to make changes, to start to feel spirit more, to feel their heart, and to feel their compassion more. Granted, we're just a few people in the sea of 6.5 billion people on the planet, but it has to start somewhere. And by us doing this, there's strength in numbers. There's plenty of other people doing similar work. We connect energetically with them, and then we become unified that way. So anyway, that's what I have for you. Sorry we went so long today, and thanks for everybody that stuck with us all day, all morning, and we'll see you guys at 5 if you can make it. And by the way, all everything uploads as a video on the YouTube channel. So if you can catch the yoga class live, it'll be up on the YouTube channel also. What is jam-packed week? Yeah, exactly. Always a jam-packed week. Yeah. I mean, kind of like when you submit to a certain responsibility, it's like, you do what you do. So this is part of my calling at this time. Yeah. Love and light to everybody. If anybody is still here and wants to give this video like a like and a thumbs up, maybe more people will actually see tarot time too. But thank you, everybody. After listening to, I sorry, free spirit. I didn't mean to have that effect. But um, but in any event, just to address that, I mean, the children that are coming into the world now, they've agreed to come into the world, basically, that they've this is a spiritual contract. So a lot of these children are going to be, when we have a new earth, they're going to be the teachers and the mystics and the politicians and the teachers. Did I say teachers twice? Well, anyway, point being is that anyway. Sorry about that. All right, namaste, everybody. I'm going to end now. I promise.